Testing. Hi, everyone.
Good evening. We're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Dr. Thomason, roll call.
President Reese,
Hi.
new equipment, we'll get used to it. President Reese, members of the board, please let the record show that we have 4 board members here tonight. Mr. Wachovich was unable to make it because of a death in the family, so our prayers and thoughts are with him tonight as he's with his family.
Thank you. We will have our moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. We will go on to item 2.1. I move that we approve the agenda.
Second.
Any questions or comments regarding the agenda? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. We will now go on to our action items. It is January, so it is time to elect officers for our board. Typically, this is usually done prior to January 15th. However, with this being our first board meeting, we have it set for today. I did have an opportunity to speak with Mr. Wachovich prior to him leaving town, and he conveyed to me his wish for me to continue as president. So he asked that I make that nomination on his behalf.
Second.
So I'm just saying, I told him I would do that. If anyone else is interested, we can talk about that.
I'm not interested.
And I have all these stairs. Okay. Then, all those in favor of Christina Reese continuing as board president?
Aye.
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 All right. That motion carries 4-0. Now we go on to vice president. Who is interested in vice president? And just real quick, for those who don't know, this is weird. Sorry, I'm all discombobulated here. Vice president obviously steps in speaking engagements or events that I'm unable to attend. Mr. Witovich nominated me as president last year with the stipulation that I didn't miss anything. And I did end up missing Teacher of the Year for my daughter's NHS induction. So there is that possibility, as well as reviewing and approving our minutes. So that would be the role of vice president.
Well, Madam President, may I, you do want to, I was just going to nominate you for vice president. You've done a great job, and I think you'd be a great vice president.
So I have a nomination for Amy.
I'll second that.
Anyone else? We can have conversation and all kinds of discussion. Not saying that, Amy, just putting it out there.
I was going to nominate Mr. Glover, but he doesn't want it, then Amy's just as capable,
Oh,
if
thank
not
you.
more.
Yeah, I decline respect. Thank you.
You guys are so nice to each other. All right, so we have a motion for Mrs. Kaler as vice president, and we have a second. So all those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, so Mrs. Kaler is now our vice president. Welcome. And I'm going to miss this, and I'm going to miss that, and be prepared. So, welcome. All right, now that's out of the way. We're going to move on to our consent agenda items. And I move that we approve the consent agenda items with the subtraction of item 4.10, as that is no longer necessary.
Second.
Any questions or comments regarding the consent agenda?
Madam President, just two things, and they're relatively minor. Item 4.2, the personnel action items, and this is maybe for Ms. Martins and Dr. Thomason, and maybe just for the general audience, I suppose. But I did see a lot of payment for teacher coverage at Cooley and Sossman and Higley High in Williamsfield, and it's fine. I think they probably cycle through on our pay stubs, but in my experience, oftentimes elementary school teachers, sometimes the paperwork doesn't get put in, and they end up covering for each other. So I just thought this was just an opportunity maybe to revisit the process in case any elementary teachers didn't know. I think Ms. Martins, you can speak to that, or Dr. Thomas, and it's really just a matter of the admin assistant putting in the paperwork when an elementary teacher has covered, and they get that, and sometimes they're not aware of that or don't follow up, and they cover each other. I think it's more obvious at the middle schools and high schools. So that's not a complaint. I just wanted to make sure if there's anything you want to add for our elementary teachers, so they know that if they're covering and there's no substitute teacher, that they are entitled to pay. If there's any other comments you would like to make.
No, absolutely. And it's something we do want to revisit in terms of the process overall. Mr. Glover, But in general, yes, sometimes it varies site by site. Sometimes it doesn't get submitted on time or the request, and so nobody's able to pick up the assignment. But whenever possible, we encourage teachers to put it into the assignment and then have subs pick it up in ASOP. And if not, then it does get covered differently site by site based on previous procedures and guidelines that they have.
Thank you.
And Ms. Martins, if I can just follow up on that, is this due to a lack of substitute teachers? Is it that we need to cover one class period? There's a long list. And is it due to a shortage of substitutes?
I will say this year has been a bit of a learning curve because we moved to smart schools with our substitute teachers in the process. So we've been trying to work with smart schools to make sure that we're understanding their recruiting efforts and what they're doing, as well as explaining process. So we've already identified in our office that there's some additional things that we have to communicate and do some training on in relation to subs because they're not technically our employees. So some of it has been the inability to be able to get a good pool, and we're working with smart schools for that. Some of that has been due to shortage or the amount of time in regards to when it got posted and put it in, as well as then some other instances where depending on the situation, when it's just coverage for one period, then they just work with their site and the teachers and do the coverage themselves. So it's a mixed variety there. I wouldn't say over the last few weeks we've actually interestingly been talking about all of these topics, and I've heard all of those reasons.
Yeah, and I just want to add is I'm not an economist, but when the economy did crash, there was lots of subs, and it was easy to tell that the economy had gotten better when there's a definite substitute shortage for sure all around the state.
Thank you. I had one question regarding 4.6 for out-of-state student travel. There was a previous wrestling tournament that we had approved for Higley High School wrestling team, and apparently that one was canceled, so we have signed up for another one. It's not listed on here. Do we know the difference in cost as this is this weekend?
President Reese, members of the board, I do have those exact cost breakdowns. It's actually a cost savings to the Booster Club and to the team. The Best Western Hotel that they'll be staying at in Page is a total of $414.24 compared to the Best Western they were going to stay at in Prescott of $600, so that's approximately $185 savings. The tournament fee for the Page tournament is $300, and the tournament fee for the cost in Prescott was $350, and so there's approximately a $215 savings overall. With the exception of the transportation, the school is still taking the Higley Unified School District vans, and so there will be an extra cost, but that's we don't have a calculation on that between the difference between the mileage from Prescott to Page at this time, but that would be increasing, but I don't see it being higher than the $215 other savings on the hotel and the registration fee.
Thank you. Anyone have any other questions on consent? Mr. Glover?
Just one, Madam President, and Dr. Mallerwine, this is for you. I saw that there is a trip, and I just wanted to, if you wanted to speak, Dr. Mallerwine, about how you heard about it and what you hope to gain from that trip. It seems exciting, and I would like to point out that is it a grant that's paying for some of this? Anyway, too, in case anybody should have to ask, yeah. So if you just want to talk about your trip, it sounds exciting.
I'm not sure where to stand or where to go, so I'm just going to kind of stand right here. We've built a relationship over the last year. It was actually a relationship that began through Dr. Fowler, so he did a lot of the legwork on the relationship. Can you hear me? He did a lot of legwork on the relationship, so he does need, I wanted to acknowledge that work that he did. But over the last, I guess, since I've been in my position, we've built a relationship with Educatius in such a way that we're their premier placement district in Arizona, which I think says a lot about our teachers, our schools, and our community, that they want to highlight Higley when they bring kids to Arizona for foreign exchange. So in the course of this, they've asked us to go on a number of trips, different places. Last year it was Japan, and I was like, I don't think we can really kind of make that happen. But through the relationship, they've decided to sponsor Higley to go. So the trip is pretty much $1,000 worth of cost over there. And as long as we can pay for the airfare for me to get there, it kind of be a pretty cheap way for me to go over there and meet with close to 100 different counselors and different schools that are looking to send students over here to have the Higley experience. It's a great way for us to become more globally connected. It's a great way for our students to become more globally aware. It's an opportunity for me over there to look at actually kind of on a side hustle, maybe recruit some teachers. Might be something I would look at doing as well. But it's an opportunity for us. One thing about Vietnam is they really like public education, and they really want their students to come and enjoy a typical public school experience, which I know we offer. So that was the whole idea behind it. To be fair, I'm not sure if I really want to spend that much time away from home, but I just think it's an opportunity for our community, our school, to be represented in the right way over there. And I think the connections that can be made can, in fact, grow a more globally conscious school district. I don't know if you guys know the details, and I had talked to Dr. Thomason, and he thought it was a great idea about us maybe doing a foreign exchange work study later in the year where I can talk about the money we bring in and some of the projects and things that we've been used to put right back into our schools to make them more friendly, more softer, more inviting environment. If you look around, there's a lot of wraps going up. There's a whole bunch of new rock at Higley High. Higley High is getting their golf carts wrapped to brand their campus. And as you know, the competition around us is brand your schools. You look and the ALA looks great on the outside. We know what's going on the inside. Well, we have great things going on the inside, and when I can spend some extra money brought in a different way to brand us and make us look on the outside when you drive by what you would see if you went into our classroom, I think it's a great opportunity. We've done a lot of that. So that's kind of in short what's going on and how we've developed the relationship. It's with basically F1 visa students. They can come over to the United States for 2 years, but they can spend 1 year per district. So we get a lot of them that go to a private school for a year, and then they want to come over here for a public school, or they go to a public school as a junior and they want to come to us for a senior. But Educatius thinks that they basically said, how many kids can we put in your schools? And so they pay more money. We get more funding per student from them than we do from the state. So it's a great way for us to build up a little pot of money that can go right back to our high schools and pay for things that to be quite honest, the state's not giving us money to do. So was that?
Yeah, thank you. It was well said, and I wanted to give you that opportunity to say all those good things. So, and thank you for your willingness to be away from home too. We appreciate it.
Yeah, it's quite a bit it's going to be quite a bit of a trip. It's about a 25-hour commute. So I'll be ready for that, and then I think I'll be there for 9 days, and I'll be in Hanoi, Da Nang, and Ho Chi Minh City, and I finally actually yesterday got a more detailed agenda, so I'll be giving that to Miss Reach to send you guys. It's pretty much, I mean, it sounds great. Everybody's like, oh, you get to go to Vietnam, but it's about an 8-hour workday, so it's going to be a lot of representing Higley, building relationships. Hopefully we'll get some, we're going to get their top kids, but maybe we'll snake a few of their teachers along the way as well. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Relawine.
Any other questions on consent? All those in favor? Aye.
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 Motion carries 4-0. All right, now this is our first meeting in kind of our new format. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and go into our work study, and we will finish up with that.